Hey, what's up? I woke up not too long ago after attending locals last night, and I want to talk a bit about the deck I played because it's one of three I've been playtesting pretty heavily lately. It is a Leopardmon. So I just really like Leopardmon's design as well as Leopardmon X Antibody, and I know I'm not the only one. I believe I've seen a number of people call this Green Ranger, and there's a lot of different variants. So the one I'm playing currently is the plant base, but I've seen people play it in a couple of different ways on DCG. I think I actually have like 12 different builds or something like that. Using like Crossheart, there's the Deva stuff where you also make Talisman. That deck I don't think is very good, but it's quite fun to play. And there's just a couple other variants. There's like a lot of little goofy things you can do. I actually, aside from my actual deck list, which is right here, I have another pile of cards that are sleeved just because I want to be able to easily swap things in and out. Granted, I think there's more things I should be trying to consider as we continue to fiddle with this. In any case, last night I played against, I only got to play 2 games, unfortunately, or rather 2 rounds. I played against Sons of Chaos and Leopardmon, and in the former game, I really felt not having either a second copy of one of the aces I'm running or a Medieval Gallant. I don't think Medieval is entirely necessary to play the deck, of course, but it's a really strong tool. So that being said, let's move Leopard Duft, as it were, right over here for the moment. Digimon wise, I'm running Kokomon. You draw a card when your Digimon becomes suspended. Relatively easy to trigger, but there are a few annoying things I'm going to mention as we go through. Let's see, we'll start off with the level 3. So my level 3 lineup is actually pretty awful, and you'll see why in a moment. So we have 1 Ukomon, 3 of the BT10 Palmon, 3 of the BT11 Palmon, and 4 Palmon X Antibody. So realistically speaking, I am planning to swap this for 4 of the BT14 Palmon, and I did a lot of playtesting with the BT14 Palmon, but yeah, I just don't have any, and no one at my locals had any, so I was like, oh, okay, I'll just have to wait for that. I'll still play this today because I want to play it, of course. It ended up being okay. Like, too many search effects aren't great because you can whiff your, or rather, too many of the vegetation search effects aren't great because you can whiff your level 6s and stuff, which is something I did have happen in my round 1, and I think it's part of what contributed to me losing that round. I lost game 3 because of a misplay, though, on my part. But yeah, this is great. This is fine. This is surprisingly okay as a fill-in just because it draws you a card. But of course, the BT14 Palmon is much more insane. It gives that lingering -2 memory effect that, Terriermon memory blockers can't stop. So, there's that. In the level 4 slot, I only have 8. And I feel like I should be running at least 9, maybe 10. But it's the 4 copies of Togemon and 4 copies of Togemon X Antibody. I really should be running these because there are some situations you'll get into where instead of going into this, you want to Digivolve this, suspend, play, trigger your draw effect, and then suspend this to play a Tamer, which can gain you memory off of the what was it, the Palmon X Antibody Inheritable. So I'll just have to tweak for that. Part of the idea behind this build was just to streamline as much as I possibly could, though, so that's why I'm only on 8. But I am running some utility level 5s, which we will talk about right now. So it's really just these 2, well, these 3, I guess. Blossomon I'm not really wanting to have, but sometimes you need to, tap something, go into this for free, then go into a level 6 on top of that. You can bounce stuff with Zafaga in that instance. You can bounce stuff with your Leopardmon X. Whatever you really need to do. This is mostly something that's here for adventure. It comes up in a couple of other matchups. It can be really, really good against Shine, for example. Not that I really expect to see a whole lot of Shine. And, of course, the hybrids aside from Purple Hybrid. Really nice card. Like having access to it. I didn't need to run this last night because I know nobody in my locals really runs that. But sometimes just tapping their Tamers, digivolving this for less, going into your 6 for super cheap. Really, really good. Oh, not to mention, you have the, is it this one, I think? Yeah, the Digivolution cost reduction. Inheritable. So you get to go into this for cheap off of its own effect. Then, because this is on top of that, you get to digivolve into your 6 for cheap. So, yeah. This I just treat like a removal spell. A lot of the time, I am not going to be acing into this, but I will play it off of my own Leopardmon effect. And being able to, you know, slap out multiple bodies, go into Leopardmon, slap her down, bounce something, go into Leopardmon X, slap another body down, and then, depending on what that body is, do something, but then the Leopardmon X bounces something with the scaling DP bounce. Really nice, honestly. Got 3 copies of Lilymon X Antibody and 4 of the Adventure Lilymon, because she has Alliance, another way to suspend your own Digimon, get that draw effect, and she definitely solves one of the bigger issues the deck has had consistently, in my opinion. You can, like, swing out, rip your opponent's security apart, but sometimes you need to have more DP to safely swing into the opponent. And, yeah, just being able to have access to that is huge. I do like the Adventure build of Leopard because you get to also use the Mega Kabuterimon, but this is fine. Honestly, I'll take this out. Because I was waiting. This is at least one of this because I don't need more than 2 of this. This card is really, really good, but I think it's a bit dangerous to run it at too many copies, even though it's nice to see because it draws you a card per suspended Digimon your opponent has when you go into it. You already go through cards very quickly. This can genuinely deck you out, potentially. So, yeah. And, you know, if you're not running this, that would be the second one. Oh boy. As for 6s, we already talked about these. But the Zafagamon Ace I mentioned, I really want to run a second copy of that. We got 2 copies of Grand Kawagamon Ace. Being able to suspend your opponent's Digimon and they can't unsuspend is really nice. Let me actually zoom in. Oh, didn't even need to do it. Thank you, autofocus. But yeah, you get to suspend 2 of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers, and cards this effect suspended can't unsuspend during your opponent's next unsuspend phase, so they still can unsuspend with effects. Then you get to delete one of their Tamers. So this is very nice when you have the Lilymon Ace under your Leopard or whatever other level 6, because you will Alliance, like you play it off of this. So let's say you play this, you spit out, I don't know, the Ace. You go in them, spit this out, right? You swing with this, you suspend this, and this is going to be 24k or more, depending on how the board state is. This gives it an extra security attack, so that's 24k, 3 checks. You potentially deleted an opponent's Digimon and stunned something on their board. This, at this point, could bounce something that's 11k, but more than likely, you probably have another body, so it'll be a 14k DP or less thing that you can bounce. Really, really nice. Not to mention the fact that the Lilymon, Adventure Lilymon, as long as you have white and green Tamer out, can also get rid of something. That being said, though, I am not really committed to running 2 copies of this. This portion of the deck I'm fine with. Or rather, this portion of my level 6s I'm fine with. But these 3 are flexes, basically. This did come up, and like I was running this for fun, basically, but I figured it could be really useful in a situation where I'm suspending a bunch of my board for the purpose of interacting with my opponent, because then I could just digivolve this on top of that, maybe suspend something else. If it's unsuspended, I get like swing or whatever. There are some instances where I'll be able to digivolve this into Leopardmon X, because Leopardmon X only checks that it's digivolving into a Leopardmon without X antibody in its traits. But being able to unsuspend my full board and have that blocker lingering effect actually be useful, because now my board is unsuspended, is really useful. So I'm not committed to this card, but I actually like it a lot more than I expected to when I first put it in. So there's that. Honestly, we're trying it out. I do hope they give us another Leopard mode that does something a little different, just for the sake of having the variety, though. And then just the rest of these. So the 4 agility training, 2 protoform, 2 cool boy, 3 Mimi, 1 Taiga. I actually really like the Taiga, but replacing either a Mimi or the Taiga for a 3rd cool boy I think is worth it, just so you can more consistently see 2 tamer colors, so you can bounce stuff with the Adventure Lilymon. The extra DP from this does come up sometimes. I really do want to be running a memory setter Mimi, but I just don't have one, so that's why I just opted to run the 3rd copy. But it worked out. Like, really, I didn't feel like I wasn't seeing this often enough or anything like that. It's just more the mathematical angle of it, where I'm like, I probably should just run a 3rd one. Now, all that other way, just in terms of other tech cards, obviously you could be running this. This is like this because I was gonna give this to somebody, but they never came back, so I think they moved away. So there's that. Already talked about this. We took one of these out, but I have 2 extras here. These are just really nice utility 5s potentially, so you could run this instead of Blossomon, but you can't search it, and it plays out a level 3 when you're swinging, which is another thing. It can play into your Leopardmon X bouncing stuff, since you get to choose when to do it. Thankfully, it's not mandatory. The 3rd copy, I have way too many of this, dog. Yeah, so it's the 3rd copy. I have like 8 of these, whatever. Quantumon, partially because Koki is a goated artist, and sometimes this comes up. You also, going into this, can let you just straight up DNA into Valderarm if you're running that, which is something I have fooled around with. This thing just plays any tamer. Like, yeah. When this Digimon becomes suspended, you may play 1 tamer card. It doesn't care about color, cost, or anything like that. Or 1 Digimon card with 4k DP or less from your hand without paying the cost, which again does work with your Leopard, because instead of being a 1-body upward scale, you play this off of Leopard X. It will do its own play thing. It'll suspend, maybe you unsuspend. You get to play out who cares, right? And that is 6k DP onto your bounce threshold, which does come up, because going from like 14 to 17 actually mattered in one of my games today. Then I just have 4 of this. I actually pulled another one. Oh, it's I see it, but it's too far away. I asked my locals for these. I should have asked them before we started, because I definitely would have swapped these out. Or rather, I would have swapped out the Grand Kawagamon for them, just to feel them out. I haven't play tested with this that much, but I like the idea. It's an ace that can evade, so it'll evade, it can unsuspend, it can protect itself twice. You also could run the Examon X antibody, which is something I have seen someone doing. I'm trying to remember. I'll put the link in the description, but I believe a player in Asia performed very well in an event doing that. So I want to try it out for myself. Just being able to run this also, I should have maybe just ran this over the Grand Kawaga, because this, while it doesn't protect itself or anything, it can interfere with my opponent's turn sequencing. It gives you extra memory. If there are multiple of these out, which isn't really that difficult to do, you're gaining 4 memory instead of 2. So, it's pretty good stuff. Aside from that, we got the 2 Heaven's Judgment, 1 of this diabolical card, Why Do You Exist? And then in terms of other utility pieces, we have the Mega Gargomon Ace, Quartzmon. Parisamon seems kind of weird, but it's come up a couple of times. just in playtesting. I haven't run it in the deck physically, but playtesting on TTS, Drasil, and DCGO. The hand effect is just quite nice. Pay 4 cost, shove it under one of your Digimon, and you may suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. Then you can just attack that thing. Pretty nice, pretty nice. This thing spits itself out. It has Alliance inherently, and you can ace on top of it if you're running Paladin mode, which I don't have yet. I ordered one a while ago, and it never came in, but yeah, I'll grab one. So sometimes it's just like your opponent will remove your stuff, and because this will just spit itself out, is also just a decent way to end your turn sometimes when you don't want to do anything else. It'll spit itself out, and because a lot of the time I found myself having something like that happen when the opponent is attacking me, I can then go into a level 7 ace on top of this. It might actually be a potential reason to run Quartzmon ace, since that got revealed. I feel like that card is not that crazy. It's just like one of those things, you're situational, like, okay, yeah, this is like really, really solid. I think Leopard could heavily benefit from you running a higher count of aces, so that is another like argument. Instead of putting these 2 in, because that'll give me like 2 slots, and then, you know, taking these 2 out, right, I could go both of these and then 2 of the Examon X antibody on top. I could, you know, I could do 1 and 1, I could do 2 and 2, just whatever makes sense, really. And I think I would have to adjust based on what I'm expecting to play into, which is pretty normal, of course, but still needs to be stated. But yeah, I'm having fun with this deck, and I'm going to talk about a couple of other ones, but I did want to have something to upload because I haven't been uploading consistently. And this is actually because I'm sick. Part of me making misplays last night was dead ass me looking at the board and then just like lapsing entirely. And I'm not saying that as an excuse, because oh my fucking god, I've had that happen at events too. It is so bad. Take care of yourself. Don't walk around in the rain like me. And yeah, hopefully you'll misplay less, but also play your decks a lot. The more you play your decks, the more you get used to what you're supposed to do in a given situation. The more you encounter weird situations, you know how to handle it immediately. So that's it from me. Y'all have a nice day. Might be recording a video with a couple other people to rant about some reveals later.